Do you know why so few death row inmates are executed by firing squad these days? It is said that after death, if a body is missing any organ, the person will be reincarnated with a defect. That's why many restless spirits linger where they died, trying to find the missing parts of their bodies. Today's story might be more bizarre than you can imagine, so I suggest tagging your unlucky friends to watch it with you. This incident took place in the 1980s near the execution grounds in Dongguan, Guangdong. That evening, villager Zhu Dachang grabbed an oil lamp and hurriedly made his way toward the mountains. It was only when another villager happened to stop him that they learned what had happened. Earlier that afternoon, he had taken his cattle into the mountains to graze, but when he returned home, he found that one of his cows was missing. Whether back then or even now, cows are very valuable. So even though it was already dark, Zhu Dachang still took his oil lamp and hurried into the mountains. But to his surprise, he searched the mountains for half the night, and even after the oil lamp had nearly burned out, he still couldn't find his missing cow. Helpless, he had no choice but to drag his tired body back home, planning to get up early the next morning to search the mountains again. On the way back to the village from the mountains, the execution ground outside the mountain was a place he had to pass. But just as Zhu Dachang was walking near the execution ground, he unexpectedly noticed a group of people gathered not far away. The group of people stood in a neat row, about 6 or 7 of them, and directly in front of them was someone who was clearly much taller than the rest. This made Zhu Dachang feel puzzled. Why would a group of people be gathered here in the middle of the night? Just as he was about to go over and see what was happening, he suddenly heard a rustling sound coming from behind him. He turned his head to look and saw that not far from him, someone seemed to be crouching down, searching for something. Zhu Dachang was a warm-hearted person. Seeing that this person seemed to have lost something just like himself, he went over to ask if they needed help looking for it. But unexpectedly, the person on the ground didn't turn around. Instead, they mumbled, I'm looking for an eye." At first, Zhu Dachang thought he had misheard, so he bent down and asked again. That person's hoarse voice came again. My eye. A few days ago when I woke up, my eye had been blown away." Hearing this, Zhu Dachang felt a vague sense of unease in his heart. He carefully squatted down to see if it was some young man from the village playing a prank on him. But just as he leaned in and used the moonlight to look at the person's face, his mind instantly exploded with a loud buzz. He saw that, just as the person had said, there was a bowl-sized hole in his head, as if something had pierced through it, and one of his eyeballs was missing. A shrill, miserable scream burst from Zhu Dachang's mouth. After screaming, Zhu Dachang's legs gave out and he collapsed directly to the ground. When he barely managed to prop himself up, that face was already right in front of him. At the same time, Zhu Dachang's scream seemed to have startled the figures not far away. They all turned around and started moving toward him. When Zhu Dachang turned his head to get a good look at their faces, his blood pressure instantly shot up to 280. These people, no, these ghosts, were all death row inmates who had been shot at the execution ground. Facing those hideous and terrifying ghostly faces, the aging Zhu Dachang could no longer bear the shock. His blood surged, and he fainted on the spot. After passing out, he vaguely heard a few deep, hoarse voices by his ear. Go, go. Those voices seemed to possess a certain magic, causing the unconscious Zhu Dachang to rise to his feet in a daze. Then, for reasons he couldn't explain, he actually followed behind these ghosts, slowly walking in a certain direction. He could vaguely make out a white-clad guide at the very front, who looked just like the legendary white impermanence from folk tales. Directly ahead was a dark, narrow path leading to an unknown destination. Zhu Dachang had no idea why he was part of this procession of ghosts, nor did he know where he was headed. In a daze, he tried desperately to break away from the group, but no matter how hard he struggled, he simply couldn't control his own body. And so, led by the underworld envoy, Zhu Dachang followed a group of ghosts, walking along this pitch-black path. He didn't know how long he had been walking when suddenly, a piercing cow's bellow sounded from behind him. The sound jolted Zhu Dachang out of his stupor, restoring a bit of his awareness. He saw that the cow he had searched for all night but couldn't find had now suddenly appeared not far behind him. The cow stared at him with unblinking eyes, then threw back its head and let out another piercing bellow. The previously dazed Zhu Dachang was instantly jolted awake by the shrill cry of the cow. Once he regained his senses and looked around, he discovered that the suspended narrow path had vanished. Seeing the cow he had been searching for all night standing right in front of him, and recalling the scene from just now, Zhu Dachang was completely stunned. He felt a surge of relief. If it hadn't been for his own cow, he had no idea where he might have ended up following that ghostly procession. Letting out a deep sigh of relief, he hurried the cow back home. This incident quickly spread throughout the village, and Zhu Dachang finally understood why he had encountered such a strange and eerie event. It turned out that 7 days earlier, a group of heinous criminals had been executed at the execution ground. At the time, Zhu Dachang had been grazing his cattle in the mountains and hadn't gone to watch, so he was unaware of this news. According to local folklore, on the 7th day after a person dies, underworld messengers will come to capture the wandering souls that are unable to reincarnate.